Hey artists, thanks for joining me today for our week 3 art lesson. So I'm really excited about this one because we are going to talk about form, and in the elements of art, when we talk about any work of art that has form in it, we're talking about a 3-dimensional work of art where we can see it from all the way around. So some of you probably have made sculptures with me before in the art room. And so today we are going to make a 3-dimensional sculpture using recyclable things from our houses that you can find. And this is actually perfect too because last week was Earth Day. So let me kind of show you what I've been working on here when I have been making sculptures, and I've been having a ton of fun. So I just went around my house and grabbed things that weren't being used anymore that I could turn into parts of my sculpture. So what I've done here is I found this container that had my coffee creamer in it, and it was empty, and instead of putting it in recycling, I grabbed it, washed it out, and I don't know if you guys can tell, but I taped down the top of it because it was kind of a dome shape here at the top. So I taped it down so it was flatter, and I covered it in paper and have colored it kind of with a stripe design here. And that's gonna kind of be the base of my sculpture. Then I also found this, it's kind of a hard piece of cardboard that, believe it or not, used to be a rice package that I was done with. And so I found it and cut it apart and painted it to this orange color. And then this is actually an old piece of paper that I did a texture rubbing on. So I took some oil pastels and laid them on their side and rubbed them across to make a cool texture type of paper I could use. And then this is part of that rice box again that I cut to a size that I wanted and painted it as well. So again, if you don't have any paints, you guys, don't worry about it. You can always use whatever you have. So you can rub and draw patterns on pieces of paper. You can cover the stuff with paper and color it like I did here. So we will use whatever we have around. And then these over here, this was actually an art experiment, I would maybe call it, that I did with food coloring. Some of you have probably done this with me before, where we created marbled paper with food coloring and swirled it around with shaving cream. So I had this paper laying around and I thought, oh, that's perfect for my sculpture. So I pulled that out too. So basically, guys, this is all about getting creative and seeing what you can come up with. So I've kind of done the hard part here of taping this down, putting the paper on it. So now I had this idea, and to put these things together, really all that you need is either glue. Just know that glue is going to take a while to dry, so I'll show you about that in a minute, or handy dandy tape, okay? So my plan here for the rest of this sculpture was I kind of wanted to put this on as sort of a roof. And really, you guys, with a sculpture, you know, it can be anything that you want it to be. So you can make it into a building. I had one kid have the idea of putting a bunch of stuff together as a castle. But really, it doesn't have to be a building. A lot of times, works of art, sculptures, can be whatever you make them into your imagination. So what you see me doing here, you guys, is wherever I want to put something, and I know it's going to, the roof here is going to come in contact with this part of the building. I'm putting some of that Elmer's glue, and then I'm going to place that piece on, And I'm really going to have to hold it here for a while if I'm using glue, especially since this cardboard is heavier. The heavier the paper or material that you're trying to put together with glue, the more grab time it's going to need. So the more time, because this Elmer's glue takes a while to dry. It's not like hot glue. So a lot of times when we're using it in the classroom with paper, we hold it down and we count. So usually if it's just paper to paper, it doesn't take a long time. So I have the kids count to about 10, maybe 20. But since this is a lot heavier, I'm gonna need to hold it here for a while. I have some glue that's dripping down, that's okay. We know that in the art room, sometimes messes happen, but it just means you're an artist. Okay, so my idea here, you guys, I don't have time to hold this on forever, but I'll definitely show it to you when I'm done here. But here's my other idea. With this paper that I did a rubbing on, I want to add some fringe to this little roof that I made. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this texture here, and I'm gonna hold it so you guys can see here. I'm just going to cut up, not the whole paper, but just about to the middle here. And I'm gonna add some of this colorful fringe to the roof of my building or sculpture. Okay, so I'm gonna show you a lot of different tricks that you can do to add some cool designs to your sculpture. So basically, my idea is I'm gonna glue that fringe to the bottom or the underside of the roof here, and I'm gonna cut it to size so that kind of has a cool decoration on it. Okay, so, and then I might even get fancy and add some paper strips to the top, the roof. I haven't really decided yet, but let me show you some tricks. Now, those of you who have made sculptures with me before, you definitely know what I'm about to show. So the first trick with paper strips is doing a spiral. So I take it around a pencil and I roll, 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 pull it off the pencil, and whoops, it's going to first be, no matter how tight you do it, it's going to be pretty tight. But if you want to just loosen the spiral, just kind of pull it gently and it'll be a little bit bigger. You can add a little glue to the underside, have it hang off part of your sculpture there. Okay, that's one, so that's a spiral. Let's see, next I'll show you the zigzag. So if you have a paper strip, zigzag is just gonna fold it over one finger and then back over the other finger, back and forth, back and forth. Keep going over those fingers, pull it out, over the next finger, pull it out. Okay, and then you'll get kind of like an accordion type of paper strip. Again, you can add that to your sculpture. A lot of kids like to glue it down and use it as stairs on their sculpture. A lot of different ideas. Okay, and then let's show you an arch. So for an arch to work, you need to give your paper strip some feet, or else it's not going to be able to stand up, just like we can't stand up without our feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to one end of the paper strip and clamp it shut. Okay, there's a foot. And over on this side, give it a foot. And there you go. It has some feet. It can walk. It can dance, and also it can stand up. So what you're gonna do for an arch is put a little glue on the bottom of the foot, put a little glue on the bottom of the foot, and hold it down. onto your sculpture, and there you have an arch. Okay, so those are some little paper tricks that you might want to try. So let's see here, you guys. This is actually, let me show you this. This is a sculpture that I made last night. So I don't know if I hold it up, so you guys can see, if you can kind of tell what I used from my house to make it. Can you guys guess? I'll let you take a look here. So some of you probably noticed that I have 2 toilet paper rolls that I had saved, painted them, and to get those to stick, I don't know if you guys can see, but I cut little notches and glued them down. Took a lot of grab time, but I put my hands down until they stuck, okay? Then, of course, I have all my cool paper tricks happening with my strips. And then, what do you guys think the bottom is? It's kind of hard, really sturdy. Any guesses? Okay. It's an old DVD box. I actually lost the DVD and it was just sitting in my house. I was about to throw it away, but I thought, I could actually turn this into art. So I painted it, added some dots when it dried, and it became the base of my sculpture. So some other ideas, if you walk around your house, maybe your parents can help you find some stuff. Some other things that I found that would work. I found a box that was almost empty of graham crackers. So I can tape that up, create something from it. I found I like to save lids and use them for either tracers, for circles, or something else. So this is actually some guacamole that Miss Einerson finished, and I could turn that into something for my sculpture. This is actually something that my mushrooms came in for my groceries, so I like to save these. And again, here's the other parts of my rice box that I cut up, and now these are great pieces to use for sculptures. I could even grab, when I'm done, my Starbucks cup and use that in my sculpture. So many ideas. So the one thing I would say though, artists, is make sure that you check with mom and dad before you take anything from your house to use in sculptures. They can definitely help you find some things that aren't being used anymore, but just make sure that they are something that is okay for you to create out of. So make sure you check with your parents on that. But I'm really excited to see your guys' sculptures. I'll make sure to include a picture of what my finished product is with this when I'm done. Okay, you guys, have fun creating your sculptures this week.